Hey everybody, welcome back to Brainiac Baseball's 1983 Detroit Tigers season replay. The month of April is in the books. We finished 21-5, and so we're going to take a moment here and go over the standings for the American League and National League, and then we'll take a look at the league leaders for the entire month of April, and let's see where we stand so far. If you take a look here at the calendar for the month of April, we went 21-5. I mean, 5 losses. That is remarkable. I mean, I don't know if we've won 20 games in a month since we've been doing this sim. So we're off to a pretty good start. And if you take a look here, you'll see we did suffer one major injury. That was to Dan Petrie. He's out for 88 more days. So we're going to have to learn to live without him. In fact, I put him on the trading block because we may need to get rid of him in order to get ourselves one more quality starter. Yes, we are 21-5, but you have we've played enough of this game that we know that at some point things will even itself out. I mean, maybe not to 500, but we're going to have a bad month sooner or later, and it's going to be good to have a starting pitcher that we can maybe pick up and help us get through that rough period. So you see our top prospects here and our expiring contracts. We will have to make maybe a couple of deals before the trade deadline and sign some of our players that are going to arbitration. It's probably better to get them now than it is to wait till the end of the season and set them up with long-term contracts for maybe a lesser amount of money. But we are projected to lose $661,000. So we're over budget by almost $1 million of payroll, and that's what's going to be tough. Let's take a look at the standings here. And as I'm sure you know, we're 21-5. We're 5 games up on New York, 5.5 up on Baltimore. We're going to see them in the first full week of May, both of those teams. So that will maybe separate us from them even further. Cleveland above 500, that's kind of surprising, right? Boston, they don't know what kind of team they are. They're struggling. Toronto, they put up a lot of runs, but they give up a ton of runs in that exhibition stadium. And Milwaukee, we've pretty much cleaned their clock. I believe we're 6-0 against them this season. The West of California, a 6-game lead. They're actually have a bigger lead than we do in the East. I didn't realize that until just now. Every other team in this division is below 500. That is crazy. I have a feeling that Seattle will make a run at it sooner or later. They have too many good players. They have, other than us, I mean, they're the only other team with home runs over 30 and stolen bases over 25. So at some point, they're going to turn it around and take off. And you can see how the rest of the division finishes out there with Chicago in last place. So that's a division that California could easily run away with, but I think Seattle's going to be there down the stretch. Let's take a look at the National League real quick. Boom, there we go. Philadelphia, 2-game lead up on New York and St. Louis. Chicago, Montreal, only 2.5 games back. If you remember the pennant race from last season in the East, it came down to the last week of the season where 4 teams were still in it and 5 teams were in it, in the month of September. So this is probably going to play out similarly where it's going to be a close call. Certainly too close to tell now. Atlanta, definitely a surprise in the West, up at 1.5 over Los Angeles and San Diego. Last year's division winner, the Cincinnati Reds, they won the World Series, in fact. 9-16, they have suffered 4 major injuries to their pitching staff and bullpen, and they are probably not going to be in it unless they make some trades. It's odd that we've only had 1 trade in season so far, and that was us getting Chet Lemon. So I would think that the month of May will certainly bring us a few more trades as some of these teams bow out, like Pittsburgh, and other teams are going to try to make a run. So Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the league leaders. Here is the American League leaders. We're going to start with batting average. There's the top 25 in batting average with Joe DeSa of Oakland leading the American League with a 387 batting average. One of the worst stadiums for offense. And Joe DeSa with 1 point up over Huskin Powell of Minnesota. We have Roy Smalley, Lloyd Mosby, probably if Toronto was playing better, he would be the MVP candidate. George Brett, he's always there. Eddie Murray, first Tiger on the list. We have Ken Singleton, Jim Rice, Sweet Lou, and Mike Brown of California, rounding out the top 10. Okay, so there's the American League batting average. Let's go right down the list here. I don't know. It's April, so maybe it's not that interesting. I like to see, who's leading in all the offensive categories. No Tigers in the at-bats leaders. That's because we've been doing a good job of resting everybody. We're going to do all the batting stats first. Doubles, Hoskin Powell, Harold Reynolds with 10. Chet Lemon, he had 7 with Milwaukee. So the only one with Detroit. Let's see, what else here? Grounding into double plays. Rod Allen. Oh, man, that is funny to see Rod Allen getting playing time in this game. Fielding, we don't really care about that just yet. Maybe in another month. Games played. Yeah, no Tigers on the list. Again, Chet Lemon spent most of his time on Milwaukee. He's already missed 2 starts with Detroit as we recycled him through. Hits, who's leading in hits? Lloyd Mosby and Hoskin Powell. We see a lot of names repeating themselves here with Lou Whitaker in the top 10. Very cool. Hit batters. No, hit by pitch. There we go. Mickey Hatcher, he got hit in back-to-back games by the White Sox with Game 3 tomorrow in this series. If he gets hit again, I think he should definitely rush the mound, or our Tiger pitchers should retaliate. Here's the home run leaders. Lloyd Mosby, 11 home runs. That is crazy. Ron Kittle and Eddie Murray both have 7, and a bunch of people with 6 and 5, including Alan Trammell. Lloyd Mosby, if you just look at his log real quick, he's had 9 home runs in 20 games. He had the 3 home run game, and then he had 5 in 6 games. So he is on quite a tear right now. Let's go ahead and move on to the next category, which is going to be intentional walks. Not a lot of intentional walks so far this season. We did intentionally walk Paul Molitor, and that came back to bite us. We almost lost that game. That was a bad move on my part. On base percentage, Joe DeSa up there with a 468 OBP. Ricky Henderson has a good batting average, and he walks a ton. I hope we keep him healthy the whole year and see how many walks he can get. Outfield assists. Let's take a look at outfield assists. Whoa, look at these guys with 4. These are not, okay, Dave Henderson has a great arm, but Jim Rice and Lynn Jones and Don Baylor especially do not have good arms defensively. How is Alan Bannister batting? What position is he playing? He's playing left field right now? That is a career infielder out in left field. You can see here, even in our sim seasons, I know he's been DHing a lot, but for some reason, the Orioles have thrown him out in left field. That's weird, right? Okay, and outfield assists. Chet Lemon's got 3. Ricky and Dawson both have 1. Okay, let's see here. Let's see the OPS. Yeah, there's 4 batters still over 1,000, including Mosby at 1180. That's almost Barry Bonds like. Okay, let's see here. plate appearances. We don't care about that. Let's take a look at RBI. Lloyd Mosby, one up on Steve Kemp. That was a good trade for the Yankees, getting him from St. Louis. And then there's Murray and Mickey in the top 6. Alan Trammell down there as well. We are putting a lot of runs on the board, and I don't know. I'm blown away that Eddie Murray is off to this good of a start after how terrible he was last year. Runners thrown out. I bet we're going to see Parrish high on the list. Yeah, he's got 8 that he's caught stealing. Dennis Littlejohn, he has the best arm. He's got a 92 or something like that. Chris Bando, he was the Gold Glove winner last year, so it's no surprise he is leading with 11. Look at Bobby Ramos on the list. Okay, what's the percentages? Lance at 33%. You want to be over 30%. That's usually elite level. Let's take a look at runs scored. Hey, Sweet Lou. We have him every day at the top of the lineup, and that's paying off. He scored 26 runs, and Ricky has scored 20. Sacrifice hits. Guy Solars, he had 3 in one game. That's funny. Sac flies. Eddie Murray's got 2. Jim Lindemann, rookie for the Rangers. And actually, Bump Wills and Odie Davis, Texas, that's what they do. They get somebody on third, they hit the sac fly. Hey, some of you might be curious, who has the highest salary in baseball? It's Bob Welch, $2.2 million for the Dodgers. Fred Lynn just signed that deal during the season this year. Jack Morris has the most on Detroit with $870,000. There you go. Now you know. Okay, let's see. Slugging percent, I don't really care. Steals, we always care about steals. Otis Nixon, 18 stolen bases for the Yanks, and Ricky with 16 tied with Gary Pettis. Ricky off to a torrid start on the base path. And Kirk Gibson's got 3. We're not stealing with him as much. He got to 30 last year, didn't he? He did not. He got to 29 in his first full season. So we're going to have to work to get him 30 this year. Stolen base success. Well, there's just a ton of people with 100. So that's really no big deal. Strikeouts. Who strike out the most? Is it Carl Pagels, who I was going to guess? I think he's led in strikeouts the last couple of seasons. But, yeah, if Ron Kittle plays a full year, he's going to lead. He actually did lead in strikeouts in 1983 in real life. And Cecil Fielder up there. Andre Dawson with 18. We don't strike out that much because we hit and run a lot. So that's how you keep your strikeouts down. Strikeout percentage. Mickey Hatcher right there. Ray Smith, catcher for Baltimore, with Juan Bonilla pretty close. Total bases. Yeah, Lloyd Mosby way out in front. Triples. Who's got the most trips? That is Paul Dade of Toronto and Carney Lansford with 3. And Gibby has 2. Walks. Clint Hurdle with 23. Since when has he been a guy who walks? I guess he had 76 in his first full season, and he's got an eye of 94. That's pretty valuable. I had no idea. He didn't have an illustrious career, so it's kind of hard to say what he would have done if he had played regularly in real life. And Fish Lips with 18, tied with Ricky and Willie. And, okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at pitching stats here real quick. We're just going to go in order. Let's say complete games. Jack Morris just had the complete game shutout. He's had 2 other games where he's pitched 8 2/3 innings. He just could not hang on to get a complete game. So, Mike Chris, former Tiger, leading the AL. ERA, let's take a look at ERA. Yeah, Teddy Higuera threw shutouts in his first 2 starts of the year. And even though he's on a team that is just absolutely horrible, he's got a 1.28 ERA. Stephon Weaver, Ed Hellicky, and Dave Rosemont. I mean, other than Teddy Higuera, like these are all names that should be a surprise to anyone. Steve Trout, he did have a couple good years with the Cubbies. Roger Slagle, and then of course John Denny won the Cy Young Award in 1983 in the National League. So that makes sense. And there's the son of a bitch, Frank Tanana. You got Morris, Belileven, and Petrie still qualifies. Ron Guidry. So there's a lot of interesting names on that list. What is that? Every Yankee pitcher is on the list? I guess 4 out of the 5. Okay. Moving on to games pitched. Is this all Tigers? No, I guess I've been doing a better job, right? Rucker and Weaver both have 10 in, 26 games? 10, 13? So Rucker's on pace to pitch 81 games. That is not good. At some point, we're going to send these down for a 10-day stay to the minor leagues. They all have minor league options. Does Dave Smith? Yeah, he does too. So we might send them down in succession in order to give them a little bit of a break and not pitch in the majors. We've already done that with Comstock. Okay, so let's see here. Ground into double plays induced. Alan Ramirez of Baltimore is 10 double plays. Not a lot of Tigers, but remember the stadium effect for double plays is below average in Tiger Stadium. Okay, let's see here. Hit batters. Yeah, who's been plunking the batters? Floyd Bannister and Rick Langford, John Matlack. They all have 3. Burt has got 2 for the Tigers. Okay, home runs allowed. There's got to be Dave Rosemont on the list. No. Holy smokes. Larry McCall has given up 11 home runs. I mean, it makes sense that Bill Paschal as well. They're both terrible pitchers out of baseball. Floyd Bannister, that is a surprise for Seattle. McCall gave up 58 home runs last year. It's given up 11 this year, and yet his ERA is under 4. He's averaging almost 2 a game. Are there any Toronto? Yeah, Jim Clancy, again, in that park with left-handed batters. No other Toronto Blue Jays. Interesting. Okay. Home runs allowed. Innings pitched. Jack's on there. Like I said, he's basically had 3 complete games with Teddy Higuera and John Denny leading innings pitched. I don't care about any of that stuff. Quality starts. Let's see. Stephon Weaver's got 6. Jack has 4. Burt pitches tomorrow. He has 3. Look at Tom Filer with 3. Who'd have thunk it? Tom Filer hanging in there as our number 5 starter. Yeah, runners for that. Runs created. Blah, 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 blah. Saves. Yeah, we've got 2 in the top 6. But Doug Corbett for Minnesota, below 500 team, he has 7 saves so far in 9 appearances. And 1 bluey, so that guy's been busy with that 85-mile-an-hour fastball. Tom Henke, the Terminator, he's got 7. Victor Cruz and Bruce Sutter. Okay. Right there. Save success. Shutouts. Yeah, Teddy Higuera had the 2, and then Chris has 2. Oh, Rosie, that's right. He had that 1-0 shutout. I forgot about that. That happened earlier this week. So we've had 2 shutouts this week. That was against Milwaukee. And strikeouts pitched. Do we have any Tigers on the list? Oh, wow. Yeah, Jack Morris. He just had 10 Ks. And so he's number 3 overall with Burt, number 19. Ed Hellicky with 46. in 44 innings. Where did that come from? He's never shown that kind of proficiency. Take a look at his log. He had that 14 strikeout performance against Seattle, and he's never had less than 6 other than his last start versus the Royals. That's pretty impressive. He wasn't even in baseball by 1983. That's crazy. Okay, what else we got here? Strikeout percentage, triples, walks per 9. I don't know. This is kind of like the reverse whip, with Eddie Higuera being the best. And yeah, Dave Rosen was always there. He never walks anyone. And it's good to see Tom Filer on there. Jack Morris, Blyleven. I mean, we have some pitchers that get the ball over the plate. Maybe that's part of our success this year. And wins. Jack Morris and Frank Tanana both have 5 victories. So Bert's got 4, and he goes tomorrow. Davey's got 3. Okay, so that's going to do it for the American League. We're going to do the National League, but we're not going to do it to this extent. We're just going to just cover the big categories here. So take a look at the National League. Pedro Guerrero of the Dodgers, batting .371. Julio Franco, Greg Gross, Johnny Ray, Jeff Burrows for the Cubbies, Dave Parker for the Mets. He was the MVP last year, wasn't he? Jack Mercanti, he just got a long-term deal, and Ken Griffey Sr. Leading in home runs in the National League. Wow, this is a sneaky one here. Jim Beswick of the Cubs. Who? I don't even know who that is. Looks like in 1978, he got to play for the Padres. And then last year, he got a few at-bats for the Cubs. And at age 25, he must be in the regular lineup. He's got 10 home runs in 10 at-bats. And if you could do math, that is 1 in every 10 at-bats. That is a good ratio to be on. Mar Foley, former White Sox catcher, second. And I mean, there's really no hope. I mean, okay, which of these guys are home run hitters? Parker, oops, I didn't actually mean to click on him, with 5. Kirby Puckett, he could hit 25 to 30 a year. And of course, Dave Winfield had some pop. So some really bizarre names in the National League there. Also, runs batted in, 32 for Glenn Gulliver. He had that 8 RBI game, right? Let's see, check out his log, RBI. Oh, it must have been before, early on in the season. He had 22 RBI in the last 20 games, and I believe he had an 8 RBI game in there as well. I just remember that from the Brainiac Baseball Daily Beat article. And yeah, these are some good names in here. I mean, Parker, Bill Madlock, Michael Jack Schmidt, and steals. Holy cow, Kim Allen. This guy cannot be stopped. He's 20 for 21. Last year, almost had 100 stolen bases, which I've never seen a computer AI sim do that, 100 stolen bases. The most I've ever had intentionally trying to steal was 88, with some schlub that was in the 1960s for the Tigers. I can't even think of his name right now. So there's the offensive leaders. Let's take a look at the pitching leaders in the National League. Pitching leaders are going to be wins. It's going to be ERA. It's going to be strikeouts pitched. And it's going to be saves. Okay. Wins in the NL. And that is Hector Eduardo for the Cardinals. You probably don't recognize that name, except for maybe in our sim. He was a lifetime Mexican League player. Never pitched in the majors. And yeah, so nobody major there except for Bob Welch with that big contract. Joaquin Andahar is on the trading block, might trade, and he is somebody I'm looking into possibly trading for. Reasonable contract, goes to free agency at the end of the year, and is not a bad pitcher. He walks a lot, which I don't like, but of players that are currently available, he would be one person that I would give some major consideration too. ERA 1, Eichelberger, and leading with a 184 ERA. That's probably why Padres are still in it. John DeQuisto, Bill Gullickson, Fernando Mania, Bob Nepper, J.R. Richard, Joe Cowley. Okay. Strikeouts pitched. Yeah, there's Fernando Valenzuela leading with J.R. Richard. Rick Ownby, he got a big contract. And, rounding out the top 10. And finally, saves. Joe Sambito up there with Bedrock, Steve Bedrosian. Okay, that's going to do it, I think, for the league leaders. I don't think there's really anything else we've, not covered so far. Only the one trade by us with Milwaukee. And I really think there's got to be a lot of trades. We do have the draft coming up in June, so that's a little over a month away. The All-Star game is in July, and it's going to be at Comiskey Park. So it's in the American League this year. That will be a lot of fun. So when we get closer to those two events, we'll have a look at the players available for the draft, and we'll take a look and maybe have an all-star special where we take a look and see who should be voted for the all-star game. Okay? So I think that is going to do it for this episode. It's only April, not a lot to really look at when it comes to leaders and the standings. A lot of things can change between now and the end of the season. But we'll, as always, take a look at the end of every month and see where we stand as far as those things go. That's going to do it. We're going to come back tomorrow with the final game of the 3-game series versus the White Sox. Until then, everyone, have a great night.